Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and NewsChannel5.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast today, and a good one we have for you, don't we always, here on Kaleidoscope. Cleveland Browns Community Relations Director Jenner Takancic is here to tell us about the Browns youth football programs and some other things as well. And later we'll hear from the Shaker Heights Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Gregory Hutchings, who will talk about efforts to reduce the achievement gap in Shaker schools and throughout the country as well. We'll also share information about the International Baccalaureate program soon to be in place for all grade levels. Good morning, everybody. I'm Leon Bibb. The program is called Kaleidoscope, and so we begin. As the man always says, are you ready for some football? Here's Jenner Takancic, who's Director of Community Relations for the Cleveland Browns. Good to have you with us, Jenner.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, things are well over the Cleveland Browns?
Things are going really well at the Cleveland Browns. The draft is behind us. Everyone's excited. Training's underway. Practices, players are in the building. So there's a lot of excitement.
And we're on track to win the Super Bowl. That's the goal.
We're ready.
That's the goal. Okay, let's try and do that this year. Well, you're here to tell us about a couple of programs you got going, and well, let's begin with the Heads Up certification. What is the Heads Up certification?
The Heads Up certification program is directly linked to youth football and the game of football itself. And Heads Up Football is actually a medically endorsed program that was created by football experts and medical professionals who wanted to make a certification across the board for coaches to adhere to from the youth football level as well as the high school football level.
So what do they learn in this as they get certified?
So through the certification program, it actually was created by USA Football, which is the national partner of the NFL and the Cleveland Browns, to really engage others in the youth football spectrum. And through the certification of courses, it is the first of its kind, and it's accredited nationally for courses for coaches to go online and to be certified in 6 key areas. And the key areas are equipment fitting, concussion, how do you recognize a concussion, how do you respond to concussions, heat and hydration, very important, especially when the summer months are coming up, and making sure those athletes have the heat and hydration preparedness that they need. We also have just basic fundamentals from tackling to blocking. So what are the basic techniques that you should be using and that coaches should be teaching the kids from being prepared for that. And then it's really to get the coaches involved, get them certified, so that when we're out and when we are parents or guardians, that we can, when we're sending our kids on the football field, we want to know that our coaches are certified and they're all speaking the same language, to know that the football is safe and that kids are prepared from certified coaches.
Another example of the pros helping the kids stay safe on the gridiron. Well, that's a wonderful thing. You've got something else called the Helmets program. And by the way, NewsChannel5 is the official partner of the Cleveland Browns this year. That's why we're so glad to have Jenner Takancic of the Cleveland Browns on the broadcast today. The Helmets program, what is that?
The Helmets program is actually directly connected to the Heads Up platform that we just spoke about. And the Helmets program is actually a new dynamic partnership that we have created with United Healthcare. And through this, we're encouraging coaches to become certified, high school coaches specifically. And when they become certified, there's a program where we will be offering free 5-star helmets to equip a high school football team. So for those coaches that get certified, they follow the program and they implement everything that they've learned through the Heads Up curriculum. These coaches and their schools, their high schools, will have the chance to win football helmets for their team. How
do the coaches get in line for all of this stuff now?
The coaches, to become certified, it's very simple. You can go to clevelandbrowns.com/community, and on there you'll find the resources you need for the Heads Up program. And there's a direct link and a landing page with United Healthcare that we have, where you can go online and become certified. And you get your coaches certified. They go through the program, and again, it's a nationally accredited program, and it's designed just for coaches to make the game safer.
And we've got that website address at the bottom of the screen, by the way, so we'll keep that up so the coaches can write that down. And also there is youth football camp now.
Youth football camp. As you can see, we're talking about youth football in many different ways, shapes, and forms. And so we've got the certification, but then we want to make sure that through the whole childhood experience that kids are having fun playing the sport. So the Cleveland Browns are offering a Cleveland Browns youth football camp at the First Energy Stadium, home of the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, yeah.
So this summer, it is a paid camp, but we welcome kids between between the ages of 7 to 12 years old to come join us for 3 days in June, and it's 8:30 to 12:30, but they can come on the field. They will be coached by heads-up certified coaches, high school coaches from the local area, and we have a lot of fun things that are in store. The camp itself is actually in association with university hospitals. So we will have medical staff, trainers that will be on site to talk to the parents that are looking to learn more about, while their kids are playing on the field. We'll have these medical experts off the field teaching them about what to look for, how to address some needs that their young athlete might have. And then one of the really cool features that we have for this camp is there's a special visit by the rookie class.
Oh,
so all the guys that were just drafted, they'll be coming out to spend, meet some of the children that are participating in the program each week.
So now parents are saying, how do I get my youngster registered? What's it going to cost me to do this? And
exactly.
What about, where do they get that information?
Same thing. Go to clevelandbrowns.com. We are the resource for youth football activation here in our local community and nationally in terms of the heads-up certification program. But come to clevelandbrowns.com and you can register right online. It's $110 for the 3-day camp, offered 8:30 to 12:30, ages 7 to 12 years old. And you better sign up fast if you want to get involved. It seems to be pretty popular. We actually have kids that come in from out of state just to be on to play like the pros.
And to get on the same football field.
To get on the same football field.
Be at First Energy Cleveland Brown Stadium. That's got to be a real kick for the kids.
It really is. It's a really memorable time, and for some kids it might be their first time just getting on the field, learning the basics, kicking, passing, all the fun things that are part of the sport.
So in our final 30 seconds, we've got the summer youth camp, we've got the helmets program, and we got the heads-up certification.
Heads-up certification.
Cleveland Browns very much in the community.
Very much so. And youth football, we want enjoy the sport. It's fun. The whole childhood experience. Make sure youth football is part of that.
This is full-time work for the Cleveland Browns, and for you,
it sure is.
It's not just Sunday afternoon.
There's many people involved behind the scenes that make it possible, from the ownership, coaches, staff. We're really excited for what's going to be offered.
We'll put that website back on the screen, won't we? clevelandbrowns.com/community. You can find more information on everything we're talking about.
Exactly.
Jenna Takancic is Director of Community Relations.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you on the broadcast. Tell everybody the Browns say we said go Browns.
Will do.
Okay, will do. Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we will hear from the Shaker Heights Superintendent of Schools, who's got some thoughts that are, I think, vitally important. We'll hear from him in just a moment. Back in a moment. Thank you. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope. Good to have you with us. The Superintendent of Shaker Heights Schools is here with us. Dr. Gregory Hutchings is with me this morning to discuss the district's efforts to reduce the achievement gap in our school systems. And Dr. Hutchings will also explain how his staff has benefited from diversity training as well. Dr. Hutchings, Gregory Hutchings, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Relatively new in Shaker Heights schools right now?
Yes, 1 year, 11 months.
Yeah. But you and I have talked over the many months, over the last several months, about this achievement gap in the Shaker Heights school system. First off, why don't we explain what is the achievement gap? What do we mean by that?
Well, I mean, in Shaker Heights, when we're looking at the achievement gap, we're looking at if there are any disparities in regards to the academic achievement of our students in different groups, whether it's African American students or students with disabilities, or in comparison to their counterparts, which may be our white students.
Yeah. How do we tackle this? How do you get your arms around this? Where do you begin?
Well, there's a number of things that we're doing in our district to address the achievement gap. One of our main areas are MAC Scholars, which is the Minority Achievement Committee. It was founded back in 1990, and the sole purpose of the MAC Scholars was to intentionally focus on African American males in Shaker Heights. This was derived from an idea from actual students at Shaker High School. There was data that was presented to the student body, and it showed a huge achievement gap between African American males and their white counterparts. So African American males students, they decided to go to the administration and say, we would like to begin a peer mentoring program where we're inspiring young African American males to take ownership of their learning, to have peer mentoring so that they have the confidence to take those upper level courses so they're prepared to go off to college.
Yeah. Where do we see the breakdown? Where does it begin? What happens in the lives of so many African American boys in the United States? Where does the breakdown begin?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are a number of issues and challenges that our African American males receive, and it starts as early as kindergarten. Some of our young men, they may not have a mentor in their home. Also, there's some societal issues that they're faced with throughout their educational careers, and some of our teachers have not really been trained to identify some of those issues that, you know, students, particularly African American men, bring to the table and may not understand their challenges, which makes them feel isolated. One thing that we're trying to do is ensure that our teachers have the training and that they have the expertise to serve those needs of our African American men.
What can mother and dad do at home to set the stage for learning for these youngsters throughout the rest of their scholastic careers?
Absolutely. You know, I think that you know, learning begins as a fetus in the womb, and our parents, they must make sure that they're reading to their children, that they're having conversations and exposing them to all of the great things that the greater Cleveland area offers, whether it's our museums or concerts or just attending the Cleveland Zoo. It's important that our parents are involved in the educational process of our young people, and a lot of times we find that parents, when their children enter middle school or high school, a lot of parents back off. That is the time that you need to be most engaged with your children and asking questions about what they learned in school, making sure that you're checking their homework daily and being involved.
Yeah. Are you seeing the successes you need to see, you want to see in the Shaker school system? Are we taking that achievement gap and are we closing that gap?
I think that we're seeing progress in Shaker schools. I think we still have room to grow, but we are beginning to see a higher percentage of our African American students graduating within 4 years. We've seen an increase of African American students taking advanced level courses in Shaker schools, and we're beginning to see the confidence level of many of our African American students increasing over the past few years.
I'm told that this is a model, that Shaker Schools, what you're doing,
yes,
is a model for the rest of the country. You ought to feel like a proud papa involved in that. But tell me, what are other school systems? What are they gleaning from you? What are they getting from the Shaker school systems?
I think that they are getting from us that you have to have intentional efforts to meet the needs of African American students. There are specific challenges that some of our African American students experience, and if you don't identify what those specific challenges are and come up with an actual plan, like our 5-year strategic plan, so you have a roadmap on how to address some of these concerns, it makes it almost impossible for you to see the gains and the results.
A few months ago, you and I were together. A few weeks ago, we watched a documentary together in the Shaker school system, and this chronicled, I think, 3 young African-American boys. Chronicled them for several years. We followed them and their families. In a thumbnail sketch, what did we learn from looking at this documentary on how these boys stayed on the right path?
I think that we need to make sure what we got out of that is that as long as students have support, and if students have an opportunity to be advocates for themselves and to take ownership of their learning, that they can be successful. We have to continue to provide the hope and the support so that students can achieve whatever goals they set for themselves.
I've got a website on the screen there. It's called shaker.org. That's where they can get more information on everything we're talking about. And there's a phone number also of 216-295-4323. We're going to continue our conversation with the superintendent of Shaker Heights Schools, Gregory Hutchings, PhD, or educational doctorate, I should say, and a doctorate in education. And we're going to continue our discussion about this very crucial subject, but I got to take this break. I'll be back in just a moment with Dr. Hutchings. Dr. Hutchings of Shaker Heights Schools is with us, the superintendent of the Shaker Schools. And there's something you wanted to add before we took a commercial break about images of black boys and black men in this country.
Yes, that unfortunately there are so many negative images out there of our African American men, and we have to make sure that we are sheltering some of our African American men and not stereotyping them to be violent or criminals. And it's important for us to build their confidence level levels up, and to make sure we're encouraging them to make good decisions. So what I strive for parents, or what I ask parents to do, is to make sure they're monitoring what their kids are watching on television, to make sure they're monitoring the social media that their child is involved in, and to also be careful of the material that you allow your children or your child to read.
I'm a graduate of the Cleveland school system a long time ago, but when I was growing up, there were books in our home. Leon and Georgia Bibb, my mother and my father, Leon and Georgia, they made sure that there were books and magazines in the house, and I was continually confronted with the written word, and they read, I saw them read, and I began to read as a child. All of this played a part, I think, in my life. Speak to that.
Yes, and I think, you know, our parents are the first teachers for any child. So it is important for our parents to model learning in the household, and to also make sure that students understand that learning is your ticket to success. You know, success does not necessarily mean you have a certain income bracket or a certain title. It just means that you've achieved whatever goals you've set for yourselves. And I think that our parents have to make sure they're modeling that type of behaviors. Yeah.
We were also talking about diversity you've got diversity training. You touched upon that. How is that? How's your staff, the teachers, reacted to the diversity training?
Well, I think that they have reacted. Right now, we're working with our administrators and our lead teachers in our district. We're working with the Diversity Center in Cleveland, and what we're seeing is that our teachers are beginning to open their eyes, and our administrators are beginning to open their eyes to a whole new world. There are many administrators and department chairs who've had experiences throughout their lives that when we have these discussions, these courageous conversations about racism or about unintentional biases, they're realizing that their neighbor or their colleague has dealt with some really traumatic issues, and they're still able to accomplish and be successful. And I think that that's giving them hope. That young people who might bring some challenges or life experiences to the table, that they can still be successful in our schools.
What's the racial breakdown of the Shaker school system, the public school system?
Right now in Shaker, we have about 47% of our students are African American, about 40% of our students are white, and then we have about 10% of our students who are biracial. So we're a pretty diverse school district, and I think one of the most diverse districts in this area, in the greater Cleveland area. We also have about 37% of our students who are eligible for free or reduced lunch.
You've got something called the Innovative Center for Learning Engagement, went online fairly recently. What happens at this Innovative Center for Learning Engagement?
Well, our Innovative Center for Personalized Learning opened this past fall, and it is a blended learning approach. It's an extension of our main campus at our high school, and our students take courses online, and we have blended learning tutors to work with students to have that one-on-one or direct instruction throughout the day. These young individuals are typically students who were not successful in a traditional school setting, or just didn't find their place or their niche in our traditional school. So it's giving them an alternative pathway to graduate from Shaker High School within 4 years.
You're talking about college at an early level too, the International Baccalaureate program, soon going to be at the all grade levels in Shaker schools. How does that fit into thoughts about college?
Yeah. So we are poised to become one of 7 school districts in the country that has a pre-K through 12 International Baccalaureate program, and we've already received our authorization for the primary years program and the diploma program. We're awaiting our authorization for the middle years. We just had our visit last week. But with the IB philosophy, it's allowing us to provide students an opportunity to have hands-on learning in the classroom, so that they are becoming selfless adults when they leave Shaker High School. We just had a group of young people last month who visited Cambodia. They were in Cambodia for 10 days, and they were there on a service trip. They actually built a house for a family whose home burned down a couple of years ago. And these young people came back to Shaker. Some of them decided to change their majors to environmental science just from that trip alone. And they began to realize that there are other people in this world who may not have what we have in just our country in general. When we talk about poverty in the United States, it's totally different from poverty in some of these third world countries. But experiences like that, it's because of the International Baccalaureate philosophy that we want to have a holistic approach for learning, and we want to ensure that our kids become selfless adults.
In our final 30 seconds, that sets them up for college.
It does.
Early on, they are set up with a college-minded career, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you being with us, Dr. Gregory Hutchings, who's the Shaker Heights School Superintendent, been on the job a little more than a year now, or thereabouts.
Almost 2 years.
But 2 years, but making great roads. We appreciate what you're doing in Shaker Heights and what you're doing for the rest of the country as well.
Thank you.
Good man, believe me. Very good man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gregory. Good to have you on the broadcast. We'll have you back, too, because we've got to continue talking about this achievement gap. I'll be back in just a moment. Marcia Mock of the Urban League with some thoughts after this. The Morning Exchange segment. That means Marcia Mock of the Urban League, president of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, is here with us. Hey, Marcia.
Hey, Leon. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and you're doing well, I'll bet.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Listen, a big announcement that has come out here recently from our president of the United States, and he has developed something called, you know, he's been talking about My Brother's Keeper a lot over the past couple of years, but now he has actually developed a new 501c3 organization called the My Brother's Keeper Alliance.
Okay.
And he has pledged, both he and the First Lady Obama, that this is going to be their mission for the rest of their lives. So beyond the White House, this is an important issue for the president. And what he's doing is making sure that there are policies and supports to help encourage and support African-American achievement for black males.
He must have been talking to you.
You know he was. I put a little bug in his ear.
I bet you did. I bet you did. Which is what the Urban League has always been talking about. And a lot of other organizations. We don't want to just say other organizations have not been talking. Thousands of organizations have talked about this. But now it comes with the power of the presidency behind it.
Absolutely. It's important. And there are 6 key things. I hope we can get through them really quickly.
Okay.
And what I love about it is at every age and every stage of the spectrum, all the transitions. The first one is making sure that everybody enters school ready to learn in kindergarten. Second, reading on grade level by 3rd grade. You know, we have the 3rd grade reading guarantee. And you can't go to 4th grade unless you can read at the 3rd grade level. So that's an important
30 seconds.
one. Okay. And then a couple more. There are 6 total. I encourage the listening audience to go online and take a look at the My Brother's Keeper Alliance. And you can see all 6 of the areas that this new nonprofit is going to focus on. And I think it's going to be very exciting. It's going to open up a lot of dialogue and create a lot of policy in areas we need.
Okay, that's going to do it. Read the rest of those. Go to My Brother's Keeper online.
Absolutely. Many
thanks. That's Marcia Maccabee's Thoughts. I'm Leon Bibb. Take care.
Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.